Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode. I just wanted to first touch on some of the elements and feedback on the previous video I did on the Trans-Mississippi construction and a lot of the construction photos. And quite a number of people have commented on the fact that, or the potential that these are actually deconstruction photos. And whilst I definitely hold that potential that there is, that they were deconstruction photos, to me, they don't seem to be. And one of the main reasons is everything seems so neat if they are deconstruction photos. So, I mean, to go from, sort of going from this to this and deconstructing, again, a very neat, tidy manner, I don't think so. But yeah, I mean, this particular photo, it's still, I mean, I still can't get over the amount of, looks just like a residential homes, like an estate right next to it, which none of the aerial images or painted or drawn sort of aerial perspective images actually show it that way. So yeah, I just noticed there's a cow standing in the middle. I don't know if that's a paddock or a road there, but yeah, it's still something a little bit off with this one, although the construction photos are intriguing. So yeah, I mean, one of the things I've been thinking about a lot is one of my favorite people, Graham Hancock. He talks about us as a humanity as being a species with amnesia. And his reference to it is based on the Younger Dryas impact theory. If it's something that you've heard of before, it's basically a theory that the last ice age was caused by effectively a comet hitting the Earth. And I've just brought some details up here. So about 12,850 years ago. And then for about a 1,200 year period, we're in a deep ice age. So from about 12,850 years ago to about 11,600 years ago is a Younger Dryas period. And that's the period of the last great ice age. And that the thesis or hypothesis is that at that 11,600 year ago period, something else happened. Perhaps another comet impact, and it was a sudden, basically high impact or high impacts of meteors that destroyed the ice shelf that was on the northern American sort of northern continent over Canada and down into the northern parts of the USA, and caused huge flooding, huge catastrophe, and effectively wiped a civilization off the map, and a civilization that it looks like may have been quite advanced in their abilities with technologies and building methods, constructions, etc. Their understanding of astrology, for example. I mean, in the last sort of 20, 30 years, we've discovered sites like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, which they've carbon dated to back in this time period, so 12,000 years ago, a huge megalithic structure with amazing artwork and different pieces in the stonework. And that's actually when it was buried. So we don't actually know for sure how long before that it was actually constructed, but we know that it was buried about 12,000 years ago in this Younger Dryas period. We've also, the geologist Robert Schoch has looked at the Sphinx enclosure. This is a very interesting one to me, where it looks like the Sphinx enclosure, so where the Sphinx is on the Giza Plateau, there's a limestone enclosure that goes around it, and that shows signs of precipitation erosion, so huge amounts of rainfall. The limestone that's through there it's quite evidently been eroded by rainfall, not wind or anything else. And there hasn't been that type of rain in Egypt again since last ice age, where that part of the world was quite temperate and quite lush, quite a lot of rain. So that shows signs of being many tens of thousands of years old, potentially, the Sphinx, not the 4,000 or 5,000 that we're told today. So basically this one event was a huge catalyst to the destruction of a potential civilization that was around at the time, that we now know was around, given these landmarks that we're finding, and it basically erased a history of the civilization, this globe, our understanding at the moment and belief is that we were hunter-gatherers turning into arboriculturalists, and then around 6,000, 7,000 years ago, we had the first civilizations creep up, and like in through the Gulf, through what's now known as Iraq and through there. So we still don't know. Like it's one of those interesting ones where perhaps we'll never know, but as different evidence comes across, as we're finding different things under the ground, and we're hypothesizing on potential causes of vast climate change for our Earth, then these sort of answers come to mind. So, but then I think, like, so if there is this, if we are a species with amnesia, then potentially we're a species with multiple sets of amnesia, and maybe we do have one from quite recent, in maybe even in the 19th century, so the 1800s. So today I'm going to look at the Royal Botanic Garden in Sydney, and what was it was called the Garden Palace was constructed. So I'm going to bring this to the first few videos I've made have been based in the USA. Today I'm bringing this over to Australia, my home country, although on the other side of the country from where I live, and just to show bring this up, just to show the similarities in architecture and building construction that was actually all over the world. So if you're watching this video, you may have already seen this, and you know sort of this history of these amazing buildings that weren't just constructed for these World's Fairs in America, but they were all over the world in the same period, and they had the same architecture. So that was one of the things that really got me thinking about this, when it's not just located in Chicago, it's not just St. Louis, it's not just Buffalo, San Francisco, New York, Philadelphia, it's actually all over the world. So the Garden Palace, let's have a look at some of the photos and I'll go back to this. I mean, this is what it looked like. So an artist's rendering of it. Quite majestic. Again, just an incredible building. The design, the construction, you can see it follows that same neoclassical architecture, that Greco-Roman style that we see throughout the World's Fairs in the USA. It's the exact same thing. This is a photograph of it. A plan, so like a section view of it. And I'll run into the dimensions of it. And then, of course, it was destroyed by fire, which basically all of these things. So when I say, I've said in previous videos that they were temporary structures and they were brought down afterwards, the thing that actually brought them down was fire. And I'm going to do a video specifically on that subject another time. So again, this doesn't add up to me. So it's the same time period. This one's 1879. The Garden Palace was a large purpose-built exhibition building constructed to house the Sydney International Exhibition 1879 in Sydney, Australia. It was designed by James Barnett and constructed by John Young at a cost of £191,800 in only 8 months. Again, I sincerely doubt that. And they say the reason why they were able to do this was largely due to the importation from England of electric lighting, which enabled work to be carried out around the clock. I mean, again, potentially I don't hold one view or another too tightly. I just look at the weight of evidence of things. And to me, to have such a large structure constructed in 8 months, even if it was around the clock, it would require thousands of people. And again, there are no construction photos of this, or any very minimal construction photos that actually may just sort of show like workmen inside the building, dare we say, perhaps refurbishing it, not constructing it. So let's have a look at some of the dimensions of it. So it was the same guy who actually built Crystal Palace in 1851. I'm going to do a video on Crystal Palace as well. The dome for it, that centre dome, was 100 feet or 30 metres in diameter and 210 feet or 65.5 metres in height. huge. The building was over 244 meters long. So I'm not too sure, like in NFL, I'm not too sure how many you do it in yards, how long that is, but Australian rules football field is about 150. So it's about another 2/3 of that. So one football field plus another 2/3 in length, and a floor space of over 112,000 square meters, with 45 million feet of timber, 2.5 million bricks, and 243 tons of galvanized corrugated iron. It was similar in many respects to, there's also the Royal Exhibition Building in Melbourne, which is actually still standing. Actually, let's have a look at that while we're here. I'll do a video on that again another time. Splendid, splendid building. That's still standing. So had a hydraulic lift inside. It was the first one in Sydney. Where else are we? There's not much information on Wikipedia in regards to this one. It's constructed primarily for timber. I mean, quite a lot of and we'll see some of the photos, like the insides were constructed from steel and timber, which I think quite a number of the, like, Chicago World's Fair's main buildings, St. Louis were also, but the incredible sort of entrances and fascia work into it, were definitely masonry. I mean, it says here, there was 2.5 million bricks and 243 tons of galvanized corrugated iron, which would have set up a lot of the sort of main structure of the building itself, especially the entrances and the fascias, as I said. All that remains is the sandstone posts, wrought iron gates. And it was in the Royal Botanical Gardens. So let's go and have a look at where it was. People who, I'm sure many people watching this have seen images of Sydney. Absolutely stunning city. So to get an understanding, this is the Sydney Opera House here. Sydney Harbour Bridge here. Zoom around. This is the Sydney CBD. Looking south here, so let's look north. Just a beautiful, stunning city, Sydney. I don't know if I necessarily want to live there, but I've visited many times and I do love it. It's very, the Sydney Harbour, just a beautiful, beautiful city. And this is the Royal Botanical Gardens. So this garden palace, again, notice the use of the name palace. This palace garden sat in here in what's now known as the Domain. So prime bit of real estate. Let's have a look through some of these photos. Just a closer look, the fire. So you see this image here. You see the expanse of it. So that's sort of facing this way. Incredible structure. Go away, mate. Black and white version. Another photo. One of the interesting things, it's not mentioned in any literature I've found, is this obelisk here too. Huge obelisk. Can't find any literature on where that came from. It's not in any of these drawings. It's not in this one. One of the things I'm really mindful of and look at when I look at some of these photographs is the size of the trees in the area, within the grounds. And again, I mean, look at the size of these trees there. At least 20 meters, some of them up to maybe 30 meters in height. Maybe let's say 25 to be conservative in height. I mean, these trees have been here for a long time, not in just an 8-month period. It's they've been there for a very, very, very long time. This is the inside of the building. So you can see quite a bit of it's timber, say some steel work. Incredible building inside. It just does look amazing. They also had a basement underneath as well, like quite a large basement, which in latter years, like as tend to what happened with quite a lot of these buildings was that they were occupied by government agencies, and a lot of their documents were stored here. And in that fire, a lot of the documents and records that the government at the time kept were destroyed. Funny that. Some construction photos. So you see more construction photo. Oh, actually, that's not a construction photo. That's a finished photo. I mean, could it be refurbishing? Who knows? Again, we see scaffolding around the fascia, but no actual construction work. This is images post-fire. I don't know if something else has gone in there afterwards, but that thing just looks like it's been decimated. And quite a number of the photos of these World's Fairs after they've been destroyed by a fire, it looks like a bomb's going off. It genuinely does. It doesn't look like what you would call like a normal building fire, I suppose. Like, and I'm no like arson expert or fire expert, so I don't know, but it just seems highly coincidental that all of these amazing palaces are destroyed by fire, and in any normal type of fire that I would understand. I mean, look at these. It's corrugated iron. It's just being blown everywhere, blown to smithereens. Bunch of literature. So these are all that remain are these gates, these front gates. Quite ornate and amazing. Yeah, this might be a construction photo. Not too sure. I wonder if that's the same. Yeah, it looks like it. I'm just very dubious about these construction photos. I really am. And the timelines they give for an 8-month period. I don't know. It begs the question, right? It has to beg the question. This is an aerial image of what it would have looked like overlaid. Just an amazing palace. This is Sydney Harbour here. This is what would be now known as the Botanical Gardens. Inside, quite remarkable. And this is for 250 odd meters. This doesn't seem to have required the same sort of civil engineering under it. It looks like it's on some sort of bedrock. I mean, potentially. I mean, it said that like the St. Louis, Missouri, the Chicago, Illinois World's Fairs took 2.5 to 2 to 3 years, but there's quite a lot of like waterways and civil infrastructure required, foundations on, the basically again the waterways that which they sit on, especially the Chicago one, which was built on the side of the lake. Again, post-fire. I mean, it looks like something must have gone in there after these images were taken to erase it, to raise it, to flatten it, because it just looks like there's nothing left. So, yeah, that's the Garden Palace. Just wanted to have a look at that one today, just to show again that this looks like it could have been a society or a civilization that was worldwide, that followed the same architecture all around the world. And the Sydney International Exposition was used use one of these buildings as other cities around the world were used. So yeah, interesting. Thanks very much, everyone. I hope you're well, and I'll see you next time.